Hey everybody, welcome to Insufferable Bastards. My name is Carlos Danger for the purposes of this broadcast, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Brian Spears. Hello, Brian.
Hello, hello.
Making a return appearance to the podcast. You know him, you love him. His name is Matt Maso from Mondo Creepy. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
Then making his second appearance, second week in a row, is my gentleman lover, Mr. Pete Gerner. Hello, Pete.
Hello.
All right, so we're going to talk about this episode really quickly. We're going to do some bottom feeding. This is bottom feeding at its best. But I defend this bottom feeding because I am still obsessed with Stuttering John, Chad Zumock, who are these podcasts, the Dabbler universe, all that stuff. I am in. I am not. I'd rather be into that than like political insanity, right? At least I'm not going to extremism in my political views, but I am, I guess, to some extent in my comedy views. So we're going to do, the purpose of this broadcast is to just go over quickly. Pete is an old school Howard Stern fan. So is Matt. Brian is the number one Howard Stern fan that I know. So we're going to listen to an interview with Jackie the Jokeman Martling and a man named Cardiff Electric from a while ago. It's from about a year ago, but I just want to share it with you guys. But before we do that, I was wondering, this is going to be old news by the time it comes out, but what did you guys think of Quentin Tarantino saying that he would never direct an MCU movie? What was your take on that? Was anybody surprised?
I wasn't surprised.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you figured that. That's why he's never, he'll never do a Star Trek movie either, that he always talked about.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
And so his quote that kind of made the rounds of the internet, you have to be a hired hand to do those things. Tarantino said of Marvel movies, I'm not a hired hand. I'm not looking for a job. This just made me feel happy because, as people may or may not know, I am not a fan of those Marvel movies. I just think and I like the fact that he compares them in this interview with musicals from like the 50s and 60s, where everything that came out were musicals. And even when and this was after Marlon Brando and On the Waterfront and all that, how Hollywood had just retreated into making movie musicals until the late 60s with Bonnie and Clyde and the Wild Bunch. But those things were trying to push through, but they couldn't because of this wall of crap. And I do feel we're in the same position with a lot of these Marvel movies that are just never ending.
These fucking superhero movies. How many fucking more can they do?
Exactly.
He was rumored years ago to have pitched or talked about a Luke Cage version that he would have loved to have done. But I think he's the type of guy that there's a million movies that he openly discusses and says, I have a great idea for this, and then
whenever
they never
he goes
go
on
anywhere.
Whenever he gives press, there's 19,000
and he's got a book, so I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I think I also remember him talking once about a Green Hornet movie.
This is everyone's asking Scorsese, it's the Scorsese question. That's, yeah.
Yeah, so it did my heart good to see our old pal, our old Gen X hero, QT, take a dump on Marvel movies. God bless
I got
you.
the book today. I'm super excited.
Well, he's charging $114 per ticket to go see him talk about the
And he's
book.
worth every penny.
He's no Kevin Smith, damn it. Kevin Smith would not be charging no $100.
Yeah,
Probably would, actually.
And he never made one of those, whatever, Clerks 3.
All right. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys real quick is, again, I've fallen off the internet into the Dabbler verse, and we just recorded an episode where this guy was watching us, and he's very encouraging. Why Do I Podcast? It's a takeoff on the podcast called Who Are These Podcasts, which is a major podcast. And he always concentrates sort of on the Stuttering John world and the Stuttering John podcast, but he recently interviewed Aaron from Steel Toe Morning Show, which is a YouTube show, and it's quite good. I don't agree with Aaron politically, but he doesn't bash you over the head with his stuff. It's just a good, it has a local radio feel, but it's a guy on the internet because he, of course, got run out of radio. But I just wanted to share this real fast because I thought it was a really good interview.
On about Howard now, but I mean the fact that
I should say this guy just went off and started. This guy's a great conversationalist. This guy Aaron, with the background there, but he started talking about Stern. Whoops, sorry.
Started before all of these guys, and he's the only one still left going. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, his show may be just petering out and garbage and an old man trying to do his best, but it's still on the air. People are still willing to pay him $80 to $90 million a year to do it. I mean, that's we'll never see it again.
I thought that was cool. It's so fashionable nowadays just to dump, and it's so easy to take a dump on Stern all the time. But I thought that was kind of refreshing to hear, especially given this guy's age. I don't know how old he is, but he certainly looks younger than at least me.
But I also think, that's an honest answer because they're all still listening. As much as those people bash him, and he probably deserves to be bashed, but I'm saying they're listening. All those guys still listen to him, or at least peripherally, hear about the show.
I think there's a large contingent, like Kevin over here is a really good guy as far as I know on the internet. I mean, I don't know what he's doing in real life. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Don't hold me responsible. But he's an O&A guy. I think there's a chunk of that audience who were O&A and not Stern back in the day.
Then I get
it's not as big as the Stern fan thing. But no, I think you're right. I think we're both right. But I thought that was a refreshing answer.
Well, speaking as an ex-O&A guy, there was a break because a lot of the O&A people were at one point big Stern fans, and somewhere they kind of felt like, especially by the early 2000s, that Stern had been going astray, and that's why they jumped on the O&A bandwagon.
And I always think they're just a little bit younger. I always feel like the O&A demographic is just like maybe 5 years younger.
And as a Stern fan, I can honestly say that Stern totally ripped off O&A with the comedians in the room.
Oh yeah,
when he started bringing Florentine and Chappelle in, or around that time,
and having them sit in for like longer, rather than just do, 5 minutes, 20 minutes of the news, like have them like really interact.
Yeah. And they were on satellite a full year before Howard was.
Yeah, but no one had satellite.
So nobody had satellite. But that's really when they started.
Nobody remembers that. Yeah.
Nobody remembers that.
Yeah. Yeah. As much as Howard might not be what he was, he's still the man.
Still making the money.
So speaking of Howard Stern, okay, here's John Melendez. And this was John. This is from Dabblers Anonymous by Toucan from like at least a week ago.
See, guys, I get so depressed when we do this now.
Well, I was going to say, as of this recording, and it is Saturday, November 5th, right? There's been a turn in the whole Stuttering John universe in that he has taken, or he's claimed to have taken 2 months off. Like on October 31st, he said, there'll be no shows in November. He still collected their money, but then said, I'm going to return in January. You won't be charged for December. So the internet and the Reddit forums have been running wild with, what's going on? Is it rehab? Because I don't think it appears, just based on the way he conducts himself, that he at least has an alcohol problem.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So maybe he's getting help for that. Who knows what's going on? But this was the end of one of his broadcasts from, I don't know when it's from, maybe 2 weeks ago. And yeah, it reminds me of Artie. Like when you look back at those last episodes with Artie, funny at the time, not funny in hindsight. And now just here's John. And I guess that's up here. It's very quick.
Oh, Robert. So now, everybody.
That was not Stuttering John.
That was my dog.
Matt's goddamn dog.
My goddamn dog.
So now, everybody, I am going to take off. I hope you enjoyed this beer on the balcony without any guests. And now I leave. This is Stuttering John saying, Gigia.
He's wrecked.
He's wrecked, but there's like an infinite sadness to this. And I'm not I'm laughing at him because I think we've all been there. But John, get off. You got to get help and stop these podcasts, dude.
Stop the podcast, stop the lawsuits.
Stop harassing. Yeah, you can't. As hard as he's getting hit, he's feeling the whole weight of the internet upon him, and I do feel for him. But he doesn't help himself.
But the problem is he could never.
He's always attacking people. He's all day long.
But see, he's always attacked. He's never been good at because I'm going back and listening to some old stuff with him, and he's great at attacking. He doesn't like being assaulted. Basically, he doesn't like the attention coming to him, and he always fights dirty. The grudge or the chip on his shoulder. I mean, I would love to hear him like just reminiscent. There'd be good stories or like good times, and because I think he'd be funny. I would love to see him drunk talking about, getting punched by Mount Morton Downey. Like, I would love to hear that stuff. I don't want to hear his political stuff.
That's why I was so disappointed that they didn't do any more of those episodes with him and Billy West and Jackie.
That's because he got hammered by the end, and like
I know.
He was starting.
It's disappointing because I was hoping they were going to get into all that.
Also, he was being malicious in those.
He was.
Whereas the other guys,
a lot of shit about Don. What's his name?
Yeah,
Buchwald.
and just
Buchwald.
Everything. And they wanted, he was. The other guys wanted to reminisce, and that's the one thing Stuttering John was a huge. I mean, I remember literally, not going anywhere on a Friday night or a Saturday night to watch the Channel 9 show. That was epic when he was doing. Come on, Jennifer Flowers. He started a whole. He started so much, and like, but then to see him here and a green screen that falls down, and like he's mumbling into himself, starting fights with people on the internet. Like the internet,
but Brian,
blows
like
my mind.
I don't know if you've seen some of his stuff on Twitter. I mean, he's getting it vicious, but he's giving it out.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. He's
the fake accounts allegedly.
Yeah, like he's definitely getting too into this. Like, and fighting back, and like, also he's a dumb guy. Like, I don't,
he's not bright. But the reason why this whole cottage industry of Stuttering John,
like, he deserves all of the dabblers. You know what I mean? Like,
totally, because he lashed out. These people aren't just like, hitting at him, striking at him for no reason.
And the one thing
he lashed out first.
Carlos and I talked about this privately, but the one thing is he's totally proven Howard Stern right. Like everything Howard said about the guy, like back in the day, kind of turned out true, like
but it didn't have to be that way.
And it didn't. That's my point. It didn't have to be.
And I will say this podcast is Dabbler Curious. We don't officially consider ourselves dabblers because that is a title that is earned. We are Dabbler Curious.
I just, I think he's, it's like we're just beating the dead horse. It's like he just,
And there is some of that going on in Dabblers Anonymous, the subreddit. You'll see people saying like, okay, is this over now? Is it too much? When you've got like Insufferable Bastards movie review guys weighing in on this and getting 2,000 views, is the market saturated? Is this done?
But of course, we find you get into it, and now it's like we can't even do it anymore. It's like mean. It's mean.
Right. Yeah. At this point, yeah.
You're gonna play Jackie, and the one funny thing about Jackie is, in his mind, he's still big. You know what I mean? Like, whereas John is bitter, Jackie's bitter, but he's still like, he'll just plug away. He's still Jackie, just plugs his.
He's almost like talking to a robot. I've interviewed him twice.
It's literally like going to a horror convention, and the guy selling his DVD. It's the same.
It's Kane Hodder telling you Friday the 13th Part 4 stories. Yeah. But okay, so we're now gonna delve into. So you've been introduced because Pete. This is new to our friend Mr. Pete Gerner. He of course knows Stuttering John. He knows the Howard Stern stuff. But this whole subgenre on the internet that is built around commenting on Stuttering John's podcast is relatively new. The big ones are, of course, who are these podcasts, and then the Shuley Show, Uncle Rico with Mike Morse, Bob Levy, and Shuley from the Howard Stern Show. What was that?
I hate Shuley.
I know. You've got to go back and you seek out on YouTube the Uncle Rico Show, and I guarantee you. Oh, I'm doing a Stuttering John thing. Sorry. You will be converted.
You got clean nails, though.
I know I'm really self-conscious about that, but you'll be converted. I'm telling you, it's very funny. But okay, so I think like the another great one that does this Stuttering John content is this guy Cardiff Electric. I know nothing about him. I first heard him when he was on Who Are These Podcasts. He does like a segment. I don't know if he's a comedian. I don't know if he's another podcaster. I don't know if it's actually Carl. I have no idea.
I think it's that guy Gary that kept leaving all those messages.
What guy, Gary?
The guy, if you listen to the second half of the Jackie thing.
I didn't make it that far, I got to be honest. But all right, but wait, more importantly, listen to who Cardiff listens to.
Oh, Insufferable Bastards podcast.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Let me say, everybody, the Insufferable Bastards podcast is here. If you like podcasts that have a movie makeup artist and another guy talking about stuff, that's definitely the podcast for you.
Yes.
Did you pay for that?
This isn't a paid ad. It's genuine from my heart. Oh, Insufferable Bastards.
How dare you think that I paid for that? Yeah, so that's Cardiff, and the whole thing. The reason he is dressed or appears as a potato, there's some like, I don't know what to call it. For lack of a better term, I'll call it. There's like a women's studies podcast. It's a bunch of like housewives talk about like just like they sip wine and they talk about whatever, and then their husband, one of the husbands, does an after show on this podcast. I think this is right. This is just from off the top of my head. And in his after show, the guy dresses as a potato. That's just how he appears. So Cardiff has taken that persona and reviews Stuttering John episodes like that. And it's very funny. All right, I'm going to stop that share. And then, you know what, guys, I just got to grab, because I'm going to have a massive choking fit in a second. So talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, have any of you heard the Cardiff Electric interview with Jackie Martling?
Yes, I listened to it when it was sent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it very funny at moments. Again, it's the same thing, you know. I mean,
it reminded me of a Space Ghost Coast to Coast interview.
I was going to say it's very much like, I was going to say like a cable access, like, you know, and it's like, that's the weird thing about Jackie. Like, he doesn't play along. You know what I mean? Like, it's, and like he gets mad, but he doesn't get mad. He just,
and then he hangs up.
Yeah. Like he doesn't officially get mad, but he, you know, he just runs his plugs for, you know, he gets to those plugs. He makes sure he gets to those plugs.
All right. And this one is just to give you another taste of what Stuttering John has become. This is really for Uncle Pete there, who might not be aware, but this is a really quick clip. This is actually from the Uncle Rico show. You got Shuley, you got Mike Morse, the Reverend Bob Levy, and Anthony Cumia reacting to Stuttering John content.
Baba Booey is a backstabbing prick, and he knows it, or he doesn't know it. I don't know.
God, he's aired.
So, wait, I messed up. All right, so that's that. Okay, so all that being said, now I want to play. Hopefully he doesn't sue us or file any type of copyright claims against us. I just wanted to play like 10 minutes. It's really a 10-minute podcast. This is Jackie the Jokeman on the Cardiff Electric podcast. Now, Jackie is famously extremely friendly, and he'll do really an interview with any reporter, any podcast. It's very, you can email him. He gets back to you. He answers all his own messages. It's a point of pride with him. And then he always sends you stuff. Like I have stuff from years ago when another reporter interviewed him of Jackie merchandise. So, but you can see this one, he starts to get, well, I'll just play it. It starts to get a little like, where is this going? We get a little defensive, Jackie. Share the screen. This is from Spotify. Again, the Cardiff Electric podcast. You guys can hear that?
Yes, sir.
Cardiff Electric, the most famous podcast in the world today. Cardiff Electric.
Oh, wait, Cardiff Electric is from that A&E show, or no, the AMC show that I only watched during the pandemic, Halt and Catch Fire. It's the name of the, I believe it's the name of the company.
That's right. That's right.
He's so cool.
You know, let's start that again because I interrupt. You can't interrupt Cardiff.
Cardiff Electric, the most famous podcast in the world today. Cardiff Electric, he's so cool, come out and play. He's the guy all the other guys are jealous of, 'cause he's the guy that all the girls want to be with. Cardiff Electric, the most famous podcast in the world today. He's got great guests on his show, like Dr. Steve and some other people. We love you, Cardiff.
Hey, it's your old pal, Dr. Steve from Weird Medicine, and you're listening to the world.
Welcome to the world famous Cardiff Electric podcast, one of the most famous podcasts on the internet today. Are you ready to go?
Is that a robot voice or is that a person?
I am a person. Thank you.
Oh, okay. God, you sound like a robot.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good, Mr. Martling. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, Jackie, not Mr. Martling. Hi.
I'm just trying to give you the respect that you deserve.
Oh, please.
So we will
Where
start.
are you? I don't see anybody.
See, to me, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I know YouTube hates when you do this, but we're having it's like King Kong versus Godzilla, but you have like an old school comedian versus this sort of rogue, independent, weird internet, almost millennial humor, whatever that, like, not millennial, but isn't Gen Z like the non-comedy comedy crap?
Yeah, anti-comedy.
Anti-comedy.
It's snarky.
Yeah.
Is he snarky though, or because the thing about Cardiff,
I think he's snarky.
he comes across snarky, but then if you go and watch some of the, like, he does the 1995 Howard Stern show on E, he goes through this whole thing where where John is fighting, and he knows his stuff, so he might be older. He might be an older guy. Part of the mystery of Cardiff Electric, because he knows all about, like, he explains it to all his listeners, assuming that they're younger.
We do not have video set up for this call. You do not need to be on camera. This is an audio-only format, if you prefer.
Oh, well, I don't mind looking at myself.
All right. Do we have your permission to broadcast this on the internet?
Yes, you can do whatever you want.
All right. Well, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the Cardiff Electric Podcast, the most famous podcast on the internet today. We have a very special episode for everyone. We have a special guest joining us today, a legend in the comedy world. Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, mystery guest. My name is Harry Chapin.
Oh no, I think we've connected to the wrong guest.
I'm sorry. This is Jackie Martling, and hello. I do not know what Cardiff Electric is, but I say yes to every podcast because I got so much to promote, and it seems like you guys know what you're doing, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have you here today.
I'm talking to you from Long Island, New York. Where are you guys?
Minnesota.
Oh, why did I think Canada? I don't know.
I'm not sure. But that's fine.
Pete, by the way, I muted you. You have to unmute yourself if you want to speak, just so you know.
We like Canadians too.
Okay, now Cardiff Electric is what?
It is the name of our podcast and our podcast network.
What is it? Have anything to do with electric company or a manufacturing company, or Cardiff Electric is just the name of the podcast?
It is the name of the podcast.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have one question that's been coming through our audience very frequently that they want me to ask you once they heard we were going to have you on the show.
8 inches.
Thank you. But what exactly is a jetty?
A jetty is a group of rocks extending out into the water to try and slow down waves, and so there won't be flooding or damage done to the shore. And I had a float off my property on the Long Island Sound, and when I first did it, Robin Quivers on the Howard Stern show referred to it as a jetty, which to me, every time she said it, or anytime anybody says it, it makes me laugh because it showed her sheer ignorance of what a jetty is. But it just became the name of my float, and it became a little bit infamous. But it basically was a complete misnomer from
Jackie the Jokeman going on about his jetty.
The word go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it has been quite controversial.
Killer stuff.
So you are a stand-up comedian, and as you know, we've been battling COVID-19 over the last 2 years. That has affected stand-up comedians dramatically. How have you managed to continue performing and stay busy during COVID-19?
Well, for the most part, I haven't. It completely shut everything down here and there. Slowly but surely, there's a gig here and a gig there. I just did West Palm Beach. I did the Kennel Club there, and I did a couple of shows in Pennsylvania. But as it gets better or worse and it goes up and down, it's it's a slippery slope. I got to be especially careful because at the age of 45, I could very easily get sick. So the way I've actually sustained is there's a thing called Cameo.com where people buy individual videos like for friends. Like if I wanted to send you a happy birthday.
It's not my birthday.
Happy birthday, Harry. I hear you don't like pizza, or whatever people want, and just do individual videotapes. And I get paid well for them, and I can cater to anybody because I have a billion jokes. And so I've done a real lot of them, and you get paid, and the main thing is I get to tell my jokes and laugh at them, which is like a methadone for me and keeps me going. And I do a little bit here and there. And
how you doing during the pandemic? And Jackie's just
do a million podcasts.
You got a plug in though.
Yeah.
Radio shows. But for the most part, the COVID has destroyed everybody, But you can't complain because it destroyed the person to your right and it destroyed the person to your left. So you can't really bitch at anybody. We just all kind of have to muddle through it. It's that simple.
So Cameo.com and search up Jackie
So
the
Jackie
Jokeman
can
Martling.
ramble.
The best way
oh yeah.
to.
It's Cameo.com/Jackie Martling.
And it almost seems like the more he talks, he's like talking himself into being suspicious.
And they're iPhone videos, and you get to keep them forever. And people, I got like 125 5-star reviews. People love them, And it's a great thing to do when you can't go out and do shows. Like if you're a comic, after a couple of weeks without doing a show, you get a little antsy and a little hard to live with. Been doing this a long time, so but it's just things are just starting to open up a little bit now. I just did a show like a week ago and a couple of weeks ago, but then the Omicron hits and it's just scary. And so many gigs get canceled. I was supposed to go to.
Well, it's funny because this guy's just not giving him anything to work with, but Jackie won't stop.
Craziness happened after January 1st when all the airlines shut down and everybody was calling in sick. I had to cancel a gig. And it's probably the first time I canceled a gig in 40 years, but sometimes you just got to.
This guy didn't even ask any of this.
It's hard. It's very hard.
I hear that a lot. I have a friend who does stand up. You might know him, Stuttering John Melendez, and he's had to cancel some gigs recently too. Unfortunately.
Well, what can you do?
So you said that you liked.
So is Cardiff a Stuttering John antagonist? Like, so he's, you know what I mean? Like he's
definitely an antagonist. If you listen to the other half of this podcast, he has like people leaving voicemail messages and they're all about Stuttering John.
I was
particularly where he's hanging out, like they're giving the street corners.
So is he like
borderline creepy is what
my
it is.
question is he effing with Jackie a little bit there, like bringing up Stuttering John?
I didn't think so at all.
Okay. All right.
I think Jackie thinks so though, because
the
conversation takes.
This is where
I think he's trolling. I think he's totally trolling.
Telling jokes. Would you like to tell us a joke? Who does stand up? You might know him, Stuttering John Melendez, and he's had to cancel some gigs recently too. Unfortunately.
Well, what can you do?
So you said that you like telling jokes. Would you like to tell us a joke today?
Why do you sound like you're, it sounds to me like you're in a mechanical voice. Are you talking through some kind of a machine or something?
Just my microphone. This is my so-called radio voice.
Oh. And nobody's ever told you it's a little bit odd?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. So are you somebody that's disguising themselves?
I do not reveal my true identity in order not to incriminate myself. That is correct.
Well, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. Why not?
Have you heard of...
Yeah.
Well, it's related to that.
So
I have no idea.
I'd love to know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, he probably just says Dabblers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He probably made up something and it sounds better than...
He just beeped it, as a goof.
Character.
I have some political background that I don't want to interfere with the podcast.
Well, it makes a difference to me.
I apologize. Would you like to tell us a joke?
No, I want to know what you're hiding from me.
Well, I'm not hiding anything for you,
You'd
sir.
think he'd hang up by now.
I truly am just making a podcast. As I said, I'm friends with Stuttering John Melendez. So
Well, that's certainly not here nor there to me.
Would you like references?
No, I want to know who you are.
Cardiff Electric.
No, it's a little odd. No, I'm not comfortable with you. I don't feel like telling you a joke. I feel like there's something going on here. It feels like one of Stuttering John's scams, to tell you the truth.
Have you been scammed by Stuttering John?
No, but I have no interest in talking to Dr. Remulek.
I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm just I'm not part of that whole thing, that whole Stern thing.
That's fair enough. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anything I say gets twisted and thrown in my face, so I don't need that.
I can definitely appreciate that. I've been
There's some bitterness when he says that.
I'm sure you have,
Yeah, and like that's pretty much. Well, here, let's just play that.
Unfairly, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I've been blocked by people that I love and respect because of things that other people have told them.
He's talking about Stuttering John, because Stuttering John used to allow him into the chat room during his podcast, and he would mention Cardiff, because Cardiff would say like nice things. Meanwhile he's
said, which I did not say. It's terrible what happens on the internet.
Yeah, well, you don't have to tell me that.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, man. Have yourself a nice life, and good luck with your podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martling. We appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
So what's interesting, the whole thing turns when he mentions Stuttering John. Does he I don't know if was he angry at Stuttering John? He mentions the Stuttering John scam specifically, which is fascinating. And he's known Stuttering John forever. And this is after they did the whole Royce, when they got together with Billy West.
That's probably why.
And I think that's why again, he'll come out against Stern a little bit, but it's always like, it's never negative.
Yeah, his book
it's like, hey, I wanted money. And, whereas
it's passive aggressive.
Yeah. And also I think it's like kind of what Matt said before. He doesn't want to hear crap when he's walking to get bagels in Long Island. Like, he doesn't need to start something that to him, it's not that big. He just wants to come on a radio show and plug his cameo and plug whatever date he's going to be at. And he would have told a joke and then he would have been off. And that's what I think is so funny about it, is it doesn't go anywhere. And it's Jackie is the one that's kind of being like, I'm being set up, but doesn't just hang up. He tries to keep going and be like, well, why are you setting me up?
I just like how Cardiff Electric just lets him go on and on when he's talking about the jetty. And it's also interesting that like Jackie he's not saying that with any humor. No. I guess he must be sick of those stories by now.
But the moment he said, I'm not associated with any Stern stuff, that's when like you could really feel the kind of anger coming through a little bit. But like I said, he's been passive aggressive for a long time. Even the title of that last book he did, The Bow to Stern.
Oh, right. Yeah.
As far as like a title goes, I mean,
well,
passive aggressive.
Jackie is such a great guy. For my job, I had Jackie call in. I was doing
that was a fantastic interview.
I did a live stream with him where I didn't know how to this was before Zoom. It was like before the pandemic. The only way I could figure out to do the live stream was to have him call a landline phone, and I just put him on speakerphone and held the microphone to it. He's like, what the hell is this? But he did it. Like the guy is, so I'll forever have a place in my heart. Jackie the Jokeman, Martling, rest in peace.
And I really wanted to know if it was vanilla or chocolate.
Isn't Cardiff great? I think maybe Cardiff. I mean, I don't know.
It's a total Andy Kaufman thing going on.
Right. So have you been watching his YouTube page, Matt? So like,
I haven't. No, I just started going through the podcasts after you sent me the link.
Yeah, check out his YouTube page. It's because he's not really updating the podcast anymore, but he updates YouTube.
Yeah, they're all from a year ago.
Every single day he does a YouTube thing, and as one of them he dresses as he doesn't dress, but he has a puppet. He has a Stuttering John puppet, which is 100 times funnier than this Howard Stern puppets. It's really great. All right, I guess we'll end it on that, guys. I just wanted to try to get two in the bag at once. I want to thank you all for being on. Does anyone have anything to plug?
Episode 2 just went up of Mondo Creepy on OSI 74.
You can always watch American Horror Story and you'll see some of Pete and I's work. And you can check out Wild Crime or something on Hulu.
Wild Crime on
I think
Hulu,
it's Wild
okay.
Crime, something like that. It's brand new on Hulu. Just go on there, and I did a little reenactment, some stuff for that.
My kid asks me every day. He wants to see Smile. I think that's almost streaming.
And I'm gonna say this, man. I took my niece and nephew. It was like a highlight of my day. My nephew was so freaking scared. I felt so guilty. He was like practically in tears, but he knew it was coming. He'd be like, "This is a boo scare. This is a boo scare. This is a boo scare. It's gonna get me. It's gonna get me." He's like,
in the theater. He's saying this
in the theater, and I'm like, his sister told him to shut up, and like, hey, then it was nice that my niece took a picture of my name in the credits.
Oh, nice.
But my nephew, I was like, hey, dude, if you leave, I was like, you can go out sitting out in the car, but you're going by yourself, man. And then he would laugh at it. Listen, the whole movie is just boo scares. It's just boo scare after boo scare. They're effective, and the music is really effective. But I had the greatest time watching a kid that probably shouldn't be out of an R-rated movie. And it's just, it's not a hard R movie, but I thought it was hilarious. And like, because he even got scared of the, there's a boo scare in the coming attraction. And then he would laugh about it that it happened. It was just the music and the,
how old is he now?
Boo scare. He'll be 10 in December.
Hot damn.
So yeah, he totally, like, it was hilarious to watch it.
Cool. Smile that you did some work on. All right. I'm Steve Grillo. And that's Brian Spears and Pete Gerner, Matt Maisto. See you next time.
See you
later.
Next time.